For almost a year, Luka, you had zero monthly recurring revenue.
In the moment when I had $20 on my bank account, I had to sell my car. On the final day, we were on a call for 27 hours straight. We had less than $2,000 monthly recurring revenue, and now we're closing a deal of $500,000.
You said, finally, after this journey of a couple of years, I feel like Dynamic Mockups can be $1 billion company.
I really feel that we can be a 10 billion, a decacorn, as they call it.
I've been following Luka's work for quite a while, and for a young entrepreneur, he's been through a lot. And for the past couple of years, since we chatted, Luka, you've learned so much in this entrepreneurial journey of yours. And we talked, and it was an amazing story about what you learned and what Dynamic Mockups is today. So I'm very excited to have you on the show today so you can tell your story to all the listeners out there, all the startup community, all the Bootstrap founders looking to grow.
Yeah, thank you so much, Maya, for the invitation. And I'm really excited to share the experience and all the learnings.
Awesome. So let's get started. I really want to walk you through your entire journey so far and all the lessons that you have learned. You've been really honest and very open to all the, let's say, blips in your journey or all the lessons. So I really want to dig into that. Luka, can you tell us a little bit about Dynamic Mockups?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely the vision has been evolving, and I believe it will evolve even further. At the start, I'm not really sure there was a vision at all. It was just a problem that we felt on our own skin. But now it grew into something very big, something very ambitious, and that is that we want to become the visual infrastructure for e-commerce. Now, that sounds all fancy with a lot of buzzwords, but essentially we want to be the ones that own the image on the future of e-commerce. When you want to create some beautiful visuals that are production ready for selling on e-commerce, we want to be the ones that create those visuals for you.
Yeah, and when we talked about it previously, now you said, finally, after this journey of a couple of years, I feel like Dynamic Mockups can be $1 billion company.
Yeah, honestly, and I mean, I don't say those things lightly. I'm kind of more of a realistic person, and I know that I sacrifice a bit of my ambition. I mean, I don't sound ambitious enough because I try to be realistic if I don't have a lot of evidence or a lot of proof to show for it. But finally, kind of the puzzle pieces are coming to every place, and I really feel that not only that we can be $1 billion company, I really feel that we can be a 10 billion, a decacorn, as they call it, to be a real category leader.
Okay, before you become $1 billion company and a decacorn, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? You told me you started your first company right after high school. Like that's true entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial spirit there. You started with a couple of friends, and you said you Googled how to make money from design online or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the period of time when I was studying economics, and I really didn't like it that much. So I wanted to switch, and I wanted to pay for my own college. So yeah, I Googled how to make money from design. I clicked on the first link. I found the famous 99designs.com, and that's when I started designing my first logos, my first brandings for other people. And after, I think it was like a 30 submissions, I won my first logo. It was for 200 euros. That was the time where there was those internet cards. So you had to get a
Yeah.
special card in order to pay for something online or receive money. So yeah, people didn't believe me, and that was the first time when I saw the 200 euro bill. It was yellow. So like, wow, this exists. I really have that money. So that's when everything started, and that's when the story in some group of friends locally started going on, like, hey, there's this guy design, and some guys needed some design for their app, for their startup. They asked, hey, do you know how to do UI and UX design? Of course I do, but of course I didn't know. And that's when everything started. That's when I learned what a startup is. didn't know back then. But yeah, that's how I entered this whole space. And really, really fast, that startup failed, and they were like, okay, let's start something new. Let's start working on our own ideas. Let's get some kind of an office space so we can be productive. And that's where our company, when we founded our first company, the name was Evoke. It still exists
Yeah.
as a marketing agency, but it kind of evolved into Viewpoint that was later acquired by University.
So you actually had an exit of sort at a very young age, right?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, it definitely was an exit. It wasn't like an extravagant exit, but from the learning perspective, it definitely was a huge, huge learning experience. I mean, straight out of high school, we were all young, and balancing out studying on college and bringing your company with like 20 employees was really, really,
That's insane.
yeah.
That's challenging, honestly. Like you were early 20s, late teens or something like that, and you had a company of 20 people. I mean, you were living and breathing the entrepreneurial life, and you were earning some money at that point, and probably much more money than an average 19-year-old, I would say. And what struck me the most when I first met you is how down to earth you are. You're such a kind person. You're very realistic, I might say, and very cautious. And sometimes a lot of good entrepreneurs are actually living this in between life of being very cautious, but also on the other side, having this strong ambition and drive and urgency to solve a problem, to bring value, to do things. So I think for me, based on all the entrepreneurs I met in my life, you really struck that balance quite well, I would say. So to move forward, at that time, you told me you were running this like a commercial service business, and you said at that point that it feels like it's small. And the way you're describing it right now, even though it's a huge thing for a 19, 20-year-old, you're so modest about it. What did you actually think you were building at the point? How did it feel? Why didn't it feel big enough?
Yeah, well, that was an interesting period in my life because that's the moment when I exited my company and started working for LearnUpon, a startup here, well, both offices in Serbia and then in Ireland. I started working there as a product manager, but essentially that was the first time in my life that I actually was an employee, I guess. And I felt really, really weird. And I wanted to do, I wanted to
What
do.
does it mean weird when you say from being an entrepreneur, being an employee felt really weird?
I guess up until then, I always had some kind of a vision. I worked towards that vision. I was calling the shots, etc. Now I was like put on the line. I had to compete for that job. It was kind of just a different position. I guess it was like a feeling like I was immediately naked in front of everybody. I don't know. That's the best way
Uh, I
to
think that's a good way to put it, actually.
So yeah, I wanted to do something for myself, and to be totally honest, it wasn't like a huge vision. I said I want to make some free money. I want to build something that's going to earn me some. I don't want to say passive income, but some of money on a recurring basis. And that's when I founded PhotoGrid, which was just like a general e-commerce brand that created personalized photos for you, for your family, whatever you want online. It was local here in Serbia, but that brand really grew fast, and that was the moment when I had to when I actually could apply all of the things that I learned by doing all of the things that I've done for our clients in Viewpoint in diversity, and it was a really really learning experience. But I felt like I've been around startups all of my life, and I've been building products all of my life, and then now I'm starting a random e-commerce brand. So that really didn't felt like enough.
Good enough.
Yeah, not good enough. Well, the constant struggle or achievers. But yeah, it didn't feel good enough. And but because of PhotoGrid, and because of the growth of PhotoGrid, challenges that we had there, we grew into a real marketplace. That's where I felt the real problem and the real need for what the dynamic mockups is solving for now.
So
Uh,
what was it the problem that you saw at the moment when you were running that small marketplace?
when we grew into a marketplace, we had a lot of merchants that wanted to sell their own wall art on our marketplace and using our infrastructure for production and fulfillment. And they had a lot of products, a lot of art that they wanted to sell, and naturally, you will need to present all of those products online with some visuals, with images, videos, etc. And we wanted to have for all of them to have really good images so they could increase the chances of them making a sale. But for most of them, somebody had like hundreds and hundreds of different artworks, and it took them like few months to list their products. You need to create all of the variants, all of the visuals, few months to look really good. You need to put the effort, and that was a huge problem. I remember saying that we need to automate this in a way because if everybody takes more than a month to list their products, we can't create a business like this.
Yeah, product to market is it just slows down the entire process, and you realize it's actually a bigger problem that you thought in the first place, right? It's not just a problem that you just saw in your business right there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I started researching for a solution and I couldn't find anything useful right off the bat. And I was like, well, wait a second, how is this possible? I mean, I know how big of a problem it is for us, but the immediate thought if you don't find a solution is, well, if you think about creating that solution, the first question is that product or service really needed in the first place? Exist? I mean, it's 2026 now. Everything has been invented. Uh,
But that's what we think.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, so I started researching deeper. And yeah, I found out one of the big reasons why it doesn't exist. And it was because it was really hard to make. I mean, that technology, anything that you want to do with visuals from the software perspective is really, really hard. And then I was like, okay, wait a second. I think there's a huge opportunity here. I know how big of a problem it is for this space. And maybe I see an angle how I could build this. But I mean, that was just the initial thought. The first step was to get some initial signals if was it really needed on the market.
Yeah,
So
that's always the second question. Like, does it not exist because it's just not, there's not enough demand and you're just about to test that, or it's just impossible to make, or what's the problem there? So you realized it's not an impossible problem, but it's rather a little difficult problem, and you think you might be able to solve it. That's step number one. And step number two is just now about to happen, where you went on to test the market, test the waters, and see how much of an interest is there. What did you do?
yeah, I mean, I did some light research and I put a couple of tests. I found a couple of groups, Facebook groups, Reddit groups, and I kind of made up a case. Like I have an e-commerce store. I have this many products. I need this many images and this many variants. How do you guys solve it right now? Can anybody help me or point me in the right direction? And nobody could point me to a solution.
Wow.
Yeah, the only thing that I've gotten was you can't really solve it like that, but I can do it as a service for $1,000. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna use this as a screenshot in some pitch deck in the future.
And some, input for my pricing.
Yeah. And yeah, that was the first test where I got my initial signals. Then I went to Upwork and see, okay, are there other people requesting this as a service? And is there a market for people to do this as a service? And yeah, I found a lot of job posts, job requests to do this, manually on scale. And I was like, okay, this is, I guess, good enough for the start to do some light proof of concept. And yeah, immediately I called Milos, my co-founder. Milos was actually our first employee in Viewpoint. So he was the first engineer, and yeah, now we're co-founders. And he helped me. I mean, he did most of the work at that time to build him and Igor. the third co-founder, and we built a light proof of concept that had only one functionality, just to validate, can we actually build this? And then we did a really short video,
Mm-hmm.
just posted in one global e-commerce group, saying like, hey, guys, we created something to solve this problem. If there is any interest, ping me and I'll give you access. And that post blew up. Like it had more than 1,000
Wow.
applications. Yeah, like in a few
Wow.
weeks, everybody wanted access, and we're like, okay, something's happening. I think we're on to something.
So this is what I was hearing. The first step that you've done to understand the market and if there is demand for something that you think should be out there, there is a problem, real problem that you want to solve is number one. You went into some Facebook groups, Reddit groups, posted questions about the problem, trying to understand if anyone else has the same one and how are they solving it. Number two, as a second step, you went on Upwork to see and understand how many jobs are there. Because previously in the group chat, someone wanted to sell you a
Mhm.
service that you actually want to automate with your product. So you got a price point there, potential price point for your, like a value for the service in the chat. On the Upwork, you saw hundreds of jobs, signaling that there is real need out there. There is a real market. And the third thing that you did, you really built a very simple like mockup and a product video with a simple, maybe most compelling feature, and you posted it. And within a couple of weeks, you got thousands of potential users, and that's how you kind of had that light bulb moment. Okay, so definitely not unsolvable the problem technically, and second, there's definitely a market and a need there. And it's a good thing that, you could be incumbent and category leaders if you start early enough, because obviously there was almost no one in the space at the time, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, I think it's really important to say that um, you can get a lot of signals, but I think
Mm,
you need to really differentiate between the noise in that signal. I mean, not everything is a relevant signal. And out of those 1,000 applications, I guess, uh, there was three that really stood out, and those were actually the really important signals. And those were uh, actual really big companies that wanted to integrate our solution. So the rest of them were smaller e-commerce brands, which is cool. There's demand for it, but a few companies that wanted to integrate our solution. Now that was the real big deal.
okay, so you're telling me that at that point, this is how you differentiate the noise from the real signal. At that point, when you saw the legitimacy and the size of the company looking for a solution, is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. And I
Yeah.
mean, it really stood out because those companies were working for the big guys, for Disney, for
Mm.
Universal Studios. And I was like, okay, this is something. And if we caught attention immediately, we're probably onto something.
Yeah, it's probably a very big pain at that particular moment. And can you tell me, Luca, at what point did you quit your job and went all in? But because at the time you were still employed, experimenting with this idea, the problem that you saw at your job, and can you walk me through that journey? Because that's where, a lot of people are that have an idea and want to invest and want to go in all in. They're always on this thinking when is the right time, right? So because you need to live off of something if you want to bootstrap at least the MVP. What made you think, okay, right now I need to quit because I can't do both things at the same time? What was the moment financially and in any other way?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I feel like a lot of people make a mistake there. Maybe jumping ship too early. I mean, quitting their job. And I feel like I did the same thing. Maybe not too early, but I think I could waited for a few months more. Um, but yeah,
Why do you say that? Did you
oh,
end up in trouble?
I mean, no, but I would probably have my car now. So yeah.
Oh, wow. All right, got it.
But yeah, so in the moment when we got those initial signals, I was employed. I was like a year into Learn Upon, And yeah, I mean, the interesting part is that I really started fitting in Learn Upon at that moment. As a product manager, you need a bit more time to get more context,
Yeah.
to do some impact. So I was really happy there.
Mm.
Didn't want to leave Learn Upon, and Learn Upon is an amazing company. And but I started thinking about all of this, and I felt like the things with AI are starting to heat up, and that was the moment even before AI, before first ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and and I was like, if we're doing this, and I feel like a wave is coming, and we're doing something that not a lot of people see as a real need, and they don't see that it's going to be like 1,000x need. It's gonna hurt more if I don't do it now, even though it's really good and learn upon. It's gonna hurt more if I don't do it now than to start and fail. So I had to leave. I told my manager Steve like 3 months ahead, like, hey, I'm gonna do it. Just giving you a heads up. And 3 months because I calculated that I need 3 months more in order to get my savings, so I can have exactly 1 year of runway
Mm.
on $1,000 a month, which was a huge mistake, by the way.
Oh my
I was,
God.
I was
It's
way,
it's
I
good
mean,
that we're living in a like low burn rate
oh
country.
yeah, oh yeah, and I mean that was that time. I mean,
Mm.
in the year ahead, those $1,000 was actually $800. So yeah, that was kind of bad judgment. But yeah, I had like for 12 months exactly $1,000 to spend for everything, and it was like when I left, when there was no more runway. We
Mm.
really we paid a lot of money to keep the thing going. But in the moment when I had $20 on my bank account, I had to sell my car. And that's the same day that we got some government funding from the Innovation Fund that
Wow.
actually helped us continue working. So on that day, I had $20 in my account, but from that point on, we could actually afford uh, a similar salary for some period of time.
You were lucky.
Yeah, yeah, but I feel like even though that wasn't a lot of runway, you shouldn't feel too comfortable
Mm.
I mean, it's make it or break it. I remember telling to myself, I have 6 more months, 3 more months, 2 more months to make it work. They find a way. That's it, simple as that. And I think that was a huge, huge advantage to the whole situation. It was really tough, a lot of sacrifices, but I think that was really important. And it was a good example for the rest of the crew to make the same move. Somebody has to start, and then you need that crazy person that's gonna follow you. That's what creates a movement.
And you luckily had that crazy person that started following you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not just one, but I think two more, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I have two co-founders, Milos and Igor. They were
Hi, Milos and Igor.
I'm Milos and Igor, yeah. And yeah, Nemanja was our first employee that really was like, hey, I think I'm gonna bet on this, leaving my job and starting. And we had zero monthly recurring revenue back then when Nemanja joined us.
So
So
for almost a year, Luka, you had zero monthly recurring revenue. Your co-founder stuck with you. He stuck with you. You got some funding. Obviously, you were good at pitching or selling your idea, and using that government money, you hired a first person in the team. How do you keep the morale on a specific level throughout the year in which you still have, month in and month out, you have a zero revenue?
yeah, that's a really good question, and I feel like that's a topic that's not being discussed enough in the community, especially in that first moment, in that first period when you're creating your company, when you're gathering the crew. If you're the guy with the idea, with the vision, you can't really expect that the other people will feel exactly the same as you, to feel the exact same drive. I mean, we all have lives, we all have different priorities, but you do need that team. You can't go alone. And I feel like that's the reason, one of the reasons why investors are really focused on the team, on the founding team. I mean, if you can't gather a crew around something and, sell them the vision and carry them to victory, then this is not the thing for you. So that's at least my perspective. So I worked really actively on that part from day one. So every little win that we had, it was celebrated.
For example,
Like we won second place in a pitching competition. Wow, let's celebrate this. Slack messages. I don't know. Let's meet in person for beer, etc., etc. I mean the small things. Hey, we got a first user. Hey, we
free
this.
user.
Yeah, yeah. User by user. Hey, Milos fixed that bug. I mean, it was a pesky bug, but well done, Milos. Let's move, move, move. I went on this call. This is what happened. I started including everyone in everything, just immersing them in the context and everything that was going on. And they felt a part of it. And every little win was not my win, not the company's win, but their win as well. Also, there's another component of people empowerment, where you empower other people to take more on themselves, to deliver new solutions, to be a part of the solution, not just, hey, this is the idea, I need you to do this, and they just follow along. But no, you
Yeah,
own this idea. And when people own something, they feel emotional. And when it goes live and it has bugs, they feel emotional.
feel
So
responsible.
yeah, exactly. And all of those little things were done on purpose so people can really become one with the company, because they are the company. We are all the company. And day by day, month by month, people started seeing the vision and seeing the movement, seeing the traction. And so everybody works full time now.
How old are you, Luka?
I'm 31 now.
So you've been an entrepreneur for 11,
Yeah.
12 years?
Yeah, about
Wow.
11, 12 years. Yeah.
Wow. 31, 12 years into entrepreneurship. You definitely learned a lot, it seems. When you were creating Dynamic Mockups, you made a decision very early on that it's not going to be a design tool. It would be an API-based, API-first product. Why was that?
That's a very good question, a very important distinction. And when you think about a tool that creates something very visual, so images, videos, you immediately think about a design tool. But
Correct.
how we're calling it is we're a sales enablement tool. That's the goal of our visuals, to make more sales. And why an API? Why infrastructure? Well, if we go back to the initial problem, uh, just look at this. If you have like
Mm-hmm.
three different products, a hoodie, a t-shirt, and a mug, and all of them come in three different colors, and you have like 100 different design motifs that you're applying on those products, then you have 3 times 3 is 9 times 100. That's 900 images that you need to create. You need to show something to your potential buyers. So
Insane number.
yeah,
Insane number,
and that's
honestly.
just an example for three products and 100 different motifs. I mean, stores have thousands and thousands of different products.
When you look at those numbers, it's very clear that the solution lies in infrastructure, not in interface, not in a design tool.
Yeah, it's
So you understood that
yeah.
very quickly.
Now that I say it, it looks obvious, but
Yeah.
it's not obvious at all. I mean, nobody thinks about this. And imagine this: like, okay, imagine that you figured out how to create 100,000 designs. How are you going to put it on your store? One by one on every, you have to open a page. I mean, nobody thinks about those manual steps that you need to take. It just feels natural that when you open a product page, you're gonna see 1 or 10 different images there. But how do they get there? How they get created? What is important to cover when you're creating them? So yeah, that's the gap that we saw, and we're like, I cannot believe that nobody has solved this. I mean, it was really, really hard, especially, I mean, to be totally honest, if we knew how hard it was, we probably would never go into this. We were a bit ignorant, but I say that we were also very, very stubborn, and we had a very, very high bar for quality and what we wanted to achieve. And that's why we solved the problem. I mean, if you think about it, in this industry, you have to have like beautiful images, but not only beautiful images, you have to do them, create them on scale. But when they're scaled, then there's always a question. It has to be fast, but if it's scaled, it has to be cost efficient. And if we're thinking about we're doing e-commerce images, then those images have to be accurate. So the products have to be accurate, a real representation.
When you go into those nitty-gritty details, it really the problem explodes in front of your eyes. I was just looking up some numbers just to paint a picture to our listeners and viewers, and our data team is going to double check this and put the information on the screen. So the median SKU count per online store globally in 2022 was up to nearly 800,000. And if you count in all the different color variations, designs, and so on, you know, like for example, 3 products, 5 colors, 100 design, you're already at 1,500 images. And when we talk about large e-commerce stores, for example, let's say even mid to large Shopify merchants operate at serious scale. So brands like Mastermind Toys run stores with over 10,000 SKUs.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about it, you're actually not buying physical products. You're buying that image.
You're
And
buying into that image, exactly.
yeah, the image is just the belief that what you see is what you will get. You're buying a digital product. It becomes physical only when it gets to your doorstep. But up until then, you're buying an image. That's how important it is.
One of your secret sauces, and now it's proven and it's trying to be a very, very important, let's say, technical baked in moat, is that you created your own proprietary technology to create a huge amounts of mockups without using AI. Because when you explain to me, you know, when we talk about 10 millions of images a year that one of a big client is processing, at the price of token of AI, that becomes really extremely expensive. So can you explain a little bit that element of your product at this stage? I mean, you came to that realization, obviously, and building your product at the time before AI wasn't like, okay, AI is now going to come in and AI is going to be expensive, so we better build this proprietary technology. It wasn't like that.
Yeah, so when we started, it was like I think ChatGPT had its initial release, and I mean there was no generative AI image models, video models back then at all. But we definitely saw the hype, and we knew we had a pretty good understanding of what's going to happen really, really soon.
Oh, you
So
did? Okay.
yeah. So if you think about print on demand, drop shipping, and everything that was going on in e-commerce, everything started becoming on demand. So you could start a business really, really easy without any investment. The only thing that you have to do is to know how to design, how to create some kind of an artwork, some kind of a branding, so you can white label all of those blank products. And our assumption was, okay, so AI is advancing and it's going to enable everybody to design. So very, very soon, the cost to enter this space is going to become zero, and that's what we started seeing. Saw a gold rush, and we were like, okay, and we're gonna sell shovels here, and that was the exact thing that started happening. But it was amazing in that moment. Before AI, we had to create our own solution that's going to account for that big scale and for being accurate, etc. We created our own engine. So now when AI is very powerful, a lot more powerful than back then, we create a new version of the engine. It's called Mock Anything, and it leverages AI in different ways, but it's kind of complementary and built on top of our initial engine. So now we are able to totally disrupt the industry with our pricing model, where we don't have to price based on usage. You know, we have a customer that's doing 100 million images per year. Imagine using Nano Banana, so that's like one of the best models out there. Nano Banana for 100 million images, and Nano Banana costs $0.15 per image, and it takes 45 seconds to create one image. And extrapolate that on, all of those color variants, all of those different brandings, just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. You said 100 million images a year, let's say 15 cents per AI generated image, right?
Yep.
It's 15 million annual AI bill. It's just for that one client. It's massive.
Massive.
It's massive. It's massive. And not to mention that you need to wait 45 seconds for generated image, right? So
Yeah.
it's just on that scale, AI just doesn't make sense to be integrated deeply. It does make sense to be integrated as a different additional layer to speed other things up. And we're gonna talk about that one as well and about your pricing.
Yeah, I mean, so because of our technology, our proprietary technology, we have the ability to not to charge per usage, meaning we could allow unlimited image creation. Of course, there's some initial cost when you're creating those templates, but for every template, we make it a dynamic template. That's
Yeah.
the name. And after that, all of the color variants, all of the applications of any different design is essentially free. I mean, it's our technology. We don't have to pay a lot of money to the big guys. We're not. They don't control us, so we are enabled to have this kind of pricing model. And this pricing model had a huge impact
So
because
you shifted from, if I understand correctly, from pricing from usage base. You did price per usage base on your API, right? But you shifted to per template flat monthly recently.
yes,
What did that do to your bottom line, and more importantly, to adoption?
to our bottom line, where well, our technology is, I mean, it's really low level. So the engine is built in Rust, so it's really, really fast, really, really optimized, and it really created a disruption in the space because in industries that are very price sensitive, margin sensitive, whenever you're creating images for your product and you charge per usage, and let's say it's $0.15 per image. I mean, people in production, when they're doing production and when they're doing production at scale, every cent matters. Every cent. And
Yeah, manufacturing. Yeah.
yeah, manufacturing. And we have a couple of images that cost $0.15. I mean, you're touching their margins. That's a big no in manufacturing. And not only it's a big no because you touch the margins. I mean, that's the part of the budget that is really hard to approve. And if it gets approved, it's really easy to, cut off. So and also it's really hard to estimate. So if you're going to rely on your users to
Right.
create
Right.
an unlimited amount of images, you can't control that. Or if you want to control, you're going to limit the value. So, I mean, it's a lose-lose game. So we saw that and we said like, okay, let's create a flat-based system and leverage what the technology that we have in our advantage. And if we create this to be a flat monthly fee per product or per template, we can shift the cost center to marketing and sales because this is a part of the marketing sector, the new catalog that you're gonna go live with, and so people can plan.
This is a very sophisticated insight. How did you arrive at it, Luca?
Really hard. It took a long time. So it took a lot of trips to the US, a lot of mingling with the manufacturers, with the suppliers, with the distributors. So that's where trade shows really were good for us because we had this huge industry with not a lot of players on one place and where we could mingle and where we could learn from. And that's where we listened, and that was a huge bottleneck for us for closing the deals. And when we started with this new pricing model, everything started going off.
Wow. You, when we talked, you said that at the beginning you were not clear who your customers are, um, and you were basically building this growth engine for smaller players like small medium businesses, but you came to a very painful realization throughout the time that those are not your customers. That at the same time you were offering, and you still do, some solutions to SMBs and a different API-based solution to enterprise upscale sector. How did you realize that SMBs are not really your customers? Did you feel it on the revenue side?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we didn't grow fast at all. I mean, when I say fast, I mean fast from the perspective of high growth startups, and that was kind of the outcome. But I mean, if you think about it, print on demand and shipping, they essentially made it really easy for anybody to start a business without any investment. And then we have a tool that requires an investment from you in order to do your business. So it didn't really make sense. So you're starting a business and you don't need an investment and you essentially don't have money and you can't really build a business around a user base that doesn't have a lot of money. Simple
Yeah, so
as
you're
that.
talking about the SMB drop, print on demand little businesses that actually don't have any money to invest, and they're basically just looking for free tools out there. They're going to make their lives easy. Did that like wrong, kind of wrong customer profile ended up being visible on your balance sheets? Like, have you seen the free accounts being created but very low conversion rates? What was the indicator there in numbers?
We actually saw a lot of traction there, even though we knew that those people don't have a lot of money, and the conversions from free to pay were not a lot, maybe like 2 to 3%, and but we leveraged them for growth. So we used programmatic SEO, create high converting SEO optimized pages for every template that we had. So we used our own technology, our own API to create 25 variants of every mockup, every template for different scenarios. So when people searched for very specific mockups online, we were the ones that popped up on the first plate. So we started growing really fast. When we launched, like in the first 3 months, we reached 1,000 free users, and then in the next 3 months, we reached 10,000 users.
Wow.
So we started growing really fast because everything started compounding on
Free users?
free users, of course, and then you can derive the pipeline from those metrics. Uh,
Yes.
and what was really interesting is that those pages, template pages, were really high converting. Like we had the conversion of like 30% because they were really high intent. Somebody's looking for a red hoodie mock-up of a specific model, and we pop up as the first result.
And
And
that was in 2024 or 25, right?
that was in the year to end of 2024. Yeah.
Right, right. Okay. Okay. Just because things change so fast with AI, chatbots, and is programmatic SEO still your tactics when it comes to getting into the SMB sector? Is it working well?
It is. It is. It kind of changed because we throughout some time we acquired really good domain rating because of that, and bigger companies find us because of all of that. I guess credibility, and all of those customers, the smaller e-commerce businesses, they are actually customers of our customers.
Yeah, that's the realization that I want you to share with the audience that when you realize you actually had this very known bottom-up model where you offer us free service for SMBs, and then you become you create a noise if you're specifically solving the problem very good, and there's not many competitors on the market, and you did exactly that. And then the bigger players, the enterprise clients up chain, they hear about you. Was this like an intentional go-to-market move made by master entrepreneur Luka, or
Yeah, I mean, I would love if it was so, but unfortunately it wasn't. We really didn't know what we were doing. We knew that we weren't hitting the spot. That's definitely what we knew. But we made it really flexible in terms like okay, yes, this is definitely not our market, not our user base, and I like this approach, which maybe is not a good approach, but I like it. Is when you find out that something is not working, you don't necessarily need to ditch it. If you see how you can convert that to something valuable, you can still have it. So, and that's an approach that we take with a lot of things. Um, uh, this is how I explain it. You know, when you're playing strategy games, when you're building the villages, and that's how I see it. So for everything that we do, can we have some kind of a real estate to it, and can it bring some value? So every mockup that we create, we say, okay, this mockup can actually be created as 25 SEO optimized pages. And those SEO optimized pages will bring in some new users. So that's real equity that you have there. So even if maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense, if it brings some value, you can leave it out. So with those free users, we saw that we have an opportunity to create a growth loop. So those users create new mockups. We take those mockups, we use them as SEO optimized pages, which brings more users. And all of those smaller SMB e-commerce businesses are actually customers of the bigger ones, which are our customers. So natural, they're going to create a demand, and we can say to those bigger companies, hey, we have like 10,000 of your merchants already using dynamic mockups. Maybe we should work together. So they start generating the demand. And in this era where AI search is really important, all of that equity that we acquired on the search engines just trickled down to AI search. So those mock-up with SEO pages now really boost our visibility in AI search. So when you search for a fast way to create a lot of mockups with an API, Dynamic Mockups is going to turn up.
So Luca, now after the realization of what your real customers are, where is, where the real pain is, and how you entered the plethora and thousands of SMB print-on-demand customers that started recommending you guys up chain, what happened?
We started working directly with manufacturers, suppliers, and distributors. So we really went up the market, up the supply chain, which was never the idea, to be totally honest. But I think what was the most impactful thing was the vision, the big vision that we had. So we saw the opportunity. We thought about of like what's the inevitable future. And the inevitable future is the one that's very conversational, that's very instant. There's no UI, there's no storefronts, there's no searching and browsing the websites. It's like you're gonna ask your LLM to, if you're going on a trip, you want a cool dress that's like elegant and with some kind of a motif, and your LLM is gonna source all of that and show you a couple of options. So in that moment, and the image becomes the whole experience and it becomes even more important. And we want to be the ones that own that image real estate in the future. So some infrastructure needs to create that image specifically for you, so it really resonates with you. So it increases the chances of you buying that product. And we saw that as the inevitable future, and everything that we did, we started optimizing for that future. So we're like, okay, so what needs to happen? We need to create the biggest database of products and convert them to dynamic mockups, to something that AI understands. And where was that? And those were the suppliers, the manufacturers that have thousands and millions, actually millions of different products. I mean, I'm not speaking only about, t-shirts and hoodies. Naturally, we always think about, fashion, but any product in the world.
Like a screwdriver, a screw,
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely. It's being created by some kind of a manufacturer or supplier, and a distributor and a reseller sells them as a white label product. So we're like, okay, if we want to work with the Shopify's, Googles, and the Wixes of the world, we have to be the ones with a huge database and that already work with huge companies on an infrastructural level. So this is where we go. And we started moving up the market and up the supply chain, and that's where we saw the biggest traction. And if you close one big, print-on-demand platform like the Printfuls and the Printifies of the world, you're gonna immediately have 20 million of, print on demand e-commerce brands using your product.
And you actually had that experience from almost very little revenue. You went up in revenue at the moment when you realized that going up market is actually where the pain sits when you got that first Canva level unicorn client, right? We're not going to mention the name, but how that happened? Like, how did you guys sit on a call? How did they come to you? How did you close that deal? When did you close it? Can you tell me about that little experience? Because it was still like three of you, right? At that point, it was a year ago or something.
Yeah, it was the four of us actually. So Nemanja was there as well.
Did you still have like zero MRR at the point, or
We had like 1,000 MRR, I think, between one and
$1,000
three.
MRR?
Yeah, like 1,000 or 1,500. Yeah, $1,500 MRR or something like that. And it was a crazy story. So one day we just got a message from that big client saying like, "Hey, can you point us to your sales representative? We want a corporate contract." And we're like, "Oh, wow, somebody actually wants to buy this." And we went on a call, and on a call there was a couple of people from the AppSec and InfoSec. So we were like, okay, this is a big deal, and they were like, just fill in this vendor assessment form, and if you go through, then we can talk. And I was like,
Right.
never going to go through this. I've been in LearnUpon, I've been on the other end, and I know this is really hard and how many certificates we need to have. But we actually went through, and everything was approved really, really fast, which was kind of odd because we don't have any certificates. Those are expensive. It's not for our stage.
And what did that tell you? Did you realize at that time that it was a big deal because they obviously couldn't find a better solution?
Yeah, well, actually, they couldn't find a best solution. That's why that was an initial signal. Like they
Exactly.
told us, like there wasn't a different solution, and that we were the best ones. And because everything got through really fast, it was a signal like, okay, somebody is helping us go through. Somebody with leverage high up in the company. So that means this is really important for them. And it was an extremely difficult time because back then we were running everything. Our servers were running on like a $50 machine. The biggest plan on our website was 10,000 images created per month for like $250, and I mean we didn't have any user on that plan.
Yeah, you were optimized for, SMBs that were actually not converting very
Of
well.
course. When we got on a call with all of them, so they immediately created a Slack channel. It was like 15 people, a lot of C-level executives there, and we're like, okay, this is gonna be tough. We went on a call with them, and it was a very short call. So before that call, I told the guys, okay, this could be a really big deal. So we have to start migrating to AWS as soon as. So like in the next month and a half, we need to migrate to AWS, however, with all of our strength. And everybody started working immediately. So we went on a call, and it was a very short call. They just said, we implemented everything because our solution was self-served. You can implement the API. We implemented everything, and we want to go global by the end of the week. So we need you to give us a contract, a
Oh my
corporate.
God.
We didn't have a contract at the moment. Um, you need to give us a contract as soon as possible, and you need to give us a quote for 100,000 images per day. And we were like, okay,
Yes, you said yes, of course.
of course. I was like, of course. I mean, we do a lot of images. That wouldn't be a problem. But yeah, we barely could have contained our happiness on our face, and we didn't want to speak any further. We're like, yeah, we have our homework. We're gonna get that as soon as possible. And immediately when that call finished, I took a second and I started crying. I started crying from the
Wow.
I cannot believe that this is happening.
How did the other people react in your team? I mean, they've been working so hard. Luckily, you got some funding from the government to stay alive. $1,500 MRR at the time was like peanuts, nothing.
Yeah.
More than a year into the story, year and a half or something like that, and you were still excited as the first day, and then this happens. Everything before it, like go to market, marketing strategies, everything was not planned.
Mhm.
It was just you were doing the best you could with the knowledge at the time. You were seeing some signals. You knew something was off. You're not really on the right track, but you knew that there is market and you wanted to tap into it so much. Obviously, as tech people, probably were very proud of your product.
Of
So
course.
what happened in that moment with you and your co-founders? Yes, you cry, but what did other people? How did they react? Were you in the room together, or was it remotely, or?
It was remotely. I called them and I said just briefly, like, guys, we have a big deal in our pipeline. And you know how I said that we need to migrate everything on AWS in the next month? Well, we need to do it by the end of the week.
And everybody went like, yes,
Yes, we can't wait to do it.
we can't
Uh,
wait to do it.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my God.
we had to call for support. We had to immediately find support, somebody that would help us migrate all of that. We found some amazing people immediately, and they started working like 24/7. And that customer was like, it was a unicorn customer, so they moved really, really fast. So we didn't really know. I mean, is that going to really go global on Saturday, or is that going to go like, a partial launch? They were crazy. We knew that they were working really fast, so we had to make it. We had to complete the migration, and in that moment, so there were two tracks. The guys were working on migrating everything on AWS, and I had to figure out how to create a contract. And in that moment, we started working with a lawyer. He didn't even know what we were doing, and I was like, "Listen, Nicola, we need to we need to figure this out and create a corporate contract like in 2 days." That's
Like yesterday.
yesterday, yeah. And it was a bit difficult because in that moment, like the day after, I was going on an offsite organized by Garaja. And that was, I mean, I kind of felt guilty because I was going to an offsite and everybody else was working their asses off. But that turned out like the best thing ever. So I went on the garage offsite. I just sat on the table, and for the next 2 or 3 days, I didn't get off that table. So I actually wasn't on Garage's offsite. I wasn't participating on anything because I needed to work, and I was constantly on call with Nicola, our lawyer, to make up this contract. And that turned out like the best thing ever. There wasn't a place in Serbia with the bigger density of startup co-founders and talent, and everybody helped us so much. Like that was the best place ever. So we got the advices from every type of the founder, the ones that are more risky, the ones that are more conservative, the ones that made huge exits, a lot of experience. I learned so much on that offsite, meaning working on that contract. And yeah, so we managed to create something, to send something, but then we had to create a quote. How the hell do you quote like 100,000 images per day?
And that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, were there numbers in the game? The guys just said out of the blue, we're gonna go live. Did they ask for a price?
Of course,
Yes,
yeah, of
of
course.
course.
They asked
But they
for
already said they want to go live.
Yeah, they asked for the price, and we had to, figure out the pricing. And I mean, we didn't have like a user that was spending more than 1,000, images per month, and now we had to create a pricing for 100,000. I mean, we didn't even know the cost that's going to be on us. We were
Yeah.
migrating on AWS. We didn't know any details.
How do you base the price then? Because you were obviously unexperienced in terms of knowing the market, understanding what's the real value there, what's the big problem, how big the problem is that you're solving. You were very green in that sense. then you were also very excited and you really, really wanted to close this deal because you really, really wanted the money, right? How do you know these things?
That
How
was
do you end up with a quote?
Yeah, that was a huge learning experience for me. So uh, I was hunting for clues, and there were a couple of clues. So as you said, there were a really big competitor to Canva, and what happened is that, well, fun fact: do you know who is the biggest print-on-demand company in the world? Canva.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
you think about it, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, because they're monetizing not that bit, but rather a much wider market.
of
But
course.
they capture a massive portion of print on demand.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. I mean, they do. They produce all of the items that people design. So yeah.
wow, yeah,
So they manufacture, yeah. So yeah, we figured out, okay, so in the past 3 years, Canva acquired Smart Mockups, which was a similar company to Dynamic Mockups, but without the API thing.
but
And
not that great.
of course, like
Okay,
a general design tool. So Smart
right.
Mockups was a design tool. And they acquired them so they could integrate Smart Mockups inside Canva. There wasn't like a technology that they could plug into. They didn't know about dynamic mockups. So we were like, okay, so this is probably a play that they wanna catch up with Canva, but they can actually use dynamic mockups. They don't need to acquire us. They can use dynamic mockups and essentially get a very similar thing as Canva did. So for shareholder value, that's pretty important. That was the assumption. So that was one thing, and of course, it was the end of the year. That's the peak season. So in this industry, there we play with peak seasons, and Q3 and Q4 are peak
Peak
seasons.
season.
Yeah.
So you were working with the competitive Canva. At the moment, you realized when Canva bought a competitor of yours to boost their market position in, print on demand industry. So you thought, okay, the competitor of Canva is working with us because they're planning a similar move, to empower their position in the similar market. And that's why they really want to move fast. And that's why we can charge them this amount of dollars because there's no other better solution than ours.
Yeah, I mean those were all assumptions, and they never
Right.
told us any of that. So then the next signal was when we asked who's gonna sign the contract, and when we heard that it's gonna be the CPO of that company, we're like, okay, he has approval for a big budget probably, and so that was an additional signal. And yeah, so then the next question is how much do we price it for? And this is where Bogdan from Tenderly helped me
Oh,
so much. He's a crazy
hi,
person.
Bogdan.
He's a crazy person, but he was the hero that I didn't know I wanted, but the hero that I needed. So he sat me down, like it was the last moment. They were kind of begging us, please send us the pricing. We need to go live. We need to approve this in the next 2 days. And Bogdan sat me down, and he was like, uh, "So what do you think? How much?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. I was thinking like." And he was like, "What are you comfortable with?" And I was like, "I don't know." And by the way, in the next track, people are dying of working their asses off for migrating AWS. So everything is very dynamic on those two tracks. Me working on the pricing and a contract, and them working on AWS constantly in communication. So Bogdan's like, "Okay, what are you comfortable with?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. Like 300,000, that's what I'm comfortable with." And some people were like, don't go that much. I mean, 150,000 is probably okay just for the start. You're gonna grow into it. But man, I mean, you're asking for 100,000 credits a day. That's a lot. That's a lot of credits. And he was explaining like, okay, so that's how you're comfortable with. Now, kick it up a notch. Un-
Gobble it.
yeah,
That's what I would say.
until you don't feel comfortable anymore, and then kick it up a notch again. And I was like, God, come on, man. And so we got to the price point of like $550,000, so half a
Per
mil
year?
per year, yeah.
Yeah.
and half a mil per year. And I was like, man, I mean, this is too much. And in that moment, I really felt anxious because just imagine going back to my team and nobody knows anything. Going back to my team and then I say I blew the deal because I asked for half a mil. Like I would kill myself. Then Bogdan was like, okay, now you need to call them to tell them the price in person, like live on the call. Like, oh, come on, man, I can't
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
I didn't plan on telling them in person. It was like, no, you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to see their expression, etc. Like, okay, let's do it. Fortunately, they couldn't go on a call, so I went off and just sent them the pricing points on Slack. And yeah,
Half a million on asking for half a million Slack, Luca.
yep, on a casual Saturday.
Saturday.
And
All right.
yeah, fast forward a couple of hours, the guy just said, okay, let me make a couple of calls. And he made a couple of calls and he got back and was like, okay, that's approved. And I was like, I cannot believe that.
And did you think at the time I could have gone higher?
Well, no, 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 never. But I was like, oh, I cannot believe that we closed the deal. We had less than $2,000 monthly recurring revenue, and now we're closing a deal of half a mil. And at that moment, I was all alone in the hotel on the offsite. Everybody went to the kafana, and and everybody knew what was going on. Everybody was waiting to what's going to happen, and that was an amazing moment. I went into the kafana, and everybody looked at me, and I was like, yes. And everybody was like, whoa. So I really felt like a superstar, a rock star. Garaja was the best place in the world where I could find myself at that moment. And yeah, we really owe a lot to Garage and the community. But yeah, and that's how the deal went through. And again, the parallel track of guys migrating on AWS. So that was the last day. I jumped back in on the call with them, and the next day was the last day of when we had to do it. And of course, everything was breaking, nothing was working. People were working their asses off. So on the final day, we were on a call for 27 hours straight. 27 hours. So you could hear people snore in the background from how many hours they have been working. Like, Igor, you need to deploy this. And he was like, oh, okay. So it was really, we couldn't, you start working and you fall asleep. And we couldn't make it work. I remember it was like 6 in the morning and people were sleeping, people were trying to deploy, people were trying to fix the final bugs, but couldn't. And Igor was like, listen, guys, I really have to go because my wife is in the hospital and I'm going to have my son being born right now. And so I have to jump from the call. Oh,
Oh my
of course,
God.
man.
Real life coming in.
Yep. They're like, of course, man. And he goes off and then he turns back on from mobile phone. And like we have to deploy this before little Paya is born, or we didn't do
Hi,
anything.
Paya.
And yeah, in like 11 or 12, Igor sent us a message, say hello to Paya. And like in the next 15 minutes, we were like, amazing. And we also deployed this on AWS. So it was such from one end, a marathon, and from one end, a sprint. So yeah.
Wow. What a little story. That's a true startup story. I've lived a couple and honestly I love it. I love it so much. And from the moment that you landed that massive unicorn level client, you guys were happy. You had some serious jump in MRR, but that didn't last very long. And it's a learning that I think we should share with people watching as well.
This is it. Now we're just going to just go up from now on, and everybody will want to give us money. But little did we know. So every investor was like, that's cool, but that's a very, very big risk.
So in the meanwhile, you were also pitching for funding for investment, and that was really tiring you up as well. But we'll touch on that. And yes, the reactions of the investors were, okay, this is a hot potato. You only have one large client, and basically, it's 97% of your revenue. And if that client goes, you're dead in the water, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I was like, what do you expect to turn down the $500,000 offer? I mean, this is what we have. I mean, this is an opportunity. Uh, and I mean, we weren't so we didn't focus so much on fundraising at that moment. We were keeping a few investors in the loop of what was going on. It was still early, like 6 months into since we launched, and but yeah, that was like the first pushback that we've seen. I mean, obviously they saw the potential, but and they were like, "What if that client goes? That's gonna be a problem." And I was like, "Oh, come on!" Again, little did we know that actually happened.
After that period, so starting, let's say, or throughout that period, throughout 2026, you guys were heavily using that money and income to find you found product market fit, obviously. Well, you thought you did, right? But you were experimenting with different channels, or you were trying to find a channel market fit. You understood that your organic programmatic SEO that bring you a lot of free users that are not really converting at the rate that you wanted, at the price points. I mean, that basically that was not your market, but you wanted to have some brand visibility in that market, and that was fine. And then you decided to physically go and start selling into enterprise. You hired your first sales person, and you went to United States and another other major markets to speak directly to the potential customer. How did that experience change you guys?
That experience changed us like, at our core. So first of all, when that customer left, and we were heavily using and we were heavily relying on money that we acquired. Um, I mean, we have to spend that money. If we're just hoarding it, it's gonna lose its value. So we had to spend everything that we had, and that was spending on new experiments or new people.
Reinvesting.
Reinvesting. Yeah, that's what I want.
You
Um,
didn't buy a Ferrari for yourself, Luca.
Unfortunately, no, I didn't have a car, as I said.
Do you have a car now? Did you manage to buy yourself a car?
No, not yet, but my
No,
girl.
yeah, a true entrepreneur. Okay.
So yeah, we got our first sales, Heineshke, and also a few more people. Alex as well. He's leading growth now. Our designer, and we experimented a lot with marketing agencies, et cetera, et cetera. We were reinvesting. We were testing a different hypotheses. But when that customer left, I was like, okay, we can't keep this up for much longer, or we're gonna go bankrupt. I think we had like 3 months of that kind of a spending, and we started exploring going to US and going on trade shows, and that turned out really good for us. And had to happen, because if it didn't, I mean, we probably needed to let some people go, and that was really hard because some people have kids, babies, and it's really hard to do something like that. So we started going on trade shows, and we felt like we started learning a lot, meeting new people, understanding the market much more than we ever had. So Neshke and I had a hunch, like we feel like there could be something here. We need to make a bet. And we made a bet for this year to go on, I think, 7 conferences and trade shows. So I told Neshke to find all the important trade shows and conferences for this industry, and we started going. And our wives would kill us. And thank you so much, Maria and Vanya, for not killing us and staying with us. And yeah, and immediately the ROI was through the roof. Every
What
conference and every trade show that we went on, it had like a compounding effect. The social capital that we acquired, and we very quickly figured out that that social capital is very important for this industry. Wherever there's family businesses, more traditional industries, the social capital, the warm intros are really, really, really important. So we found ourselves at one big place where the whole industry is. And every time that we go on a trade show, we acquire more social capital. Uh, People started noticing us. Then people started remembering us. And then we reached a point where a lot of people knew about us and we didn't know them. So the tipping point was this year, two conferences, one in West Palm, one in Munich, where we had presentations in the innovation section, where we showed the technology, where we kind of wasn't really a sales pitch, but it was more like forward-looking, visionary, what the inevitable future is bringing, and how this industry is the backbone of e-commerce, and how they need to prepare for the inevitable future. And by accident, dynamic mockups is the answer for them to prepare for that inevitable future, and that resonated with them really, really well.
And we're talking about what type of audience here? How big are the companies? What's the industry? I mean, what's the sector?
We're talking about companies that are multi-billion-dollar revenue companies on the side of the whole supply chain. So the
Right.
manufacturers, the suppliers, the distributors, and on both of those conferences, there was like top 500 people in the industry. Most of them C-level executives, the decision makers, the visionaries, the ones that actually need to be forward looking. So we told ourselves before that presentation, okay, we need to do things differently. We have a 10-minute slot to educate the market and send the message to every executive here to what's coming. And we
10
have
minutes.
10 minutes, yeah, and we have to use it. And we're like, this is the most important presentation of our lives, probably. And yeah, we did our job really, really well.
And when you talk about ROI, what are the numbers there? Can you share something?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we filled our pipeline. So from those 10 minutes, we filled our pipeline like with more than 100 those big enterprises. And
Opportunities.
oh yeah. I mean, the biggest companies in the industry. And I just want to give you the perspective. So we're not reaching out to those independent e-commerce businesses anymore. We're going to the source. We're working with the suppliers and the distributors. So that's channel sales. So when we acquire one customer, they distribute the technology to the tens of thousands of smaller businesses below, down the supply chain. So even acquiring one customer there could be huge. Um, so yeah, that's where we're now, and we're trying to close that pipeline as soon as
How
possible.
big is that pipeline in terms of revenue?
Yeah, well, our approximation is about 10 million uh,
Annual recurring revenue.
annual recurring revenue. Yeah, that's our estimate. But yeah, we'll see.
Fingers crossed. It's definitely a road to, as you said, a, a decabillion revenue company. And you had your fair share experience with the investors and pitching to investors. I want to dig a little bit. How was the experience of pitching to investors? How was it for you? I mean, you were a tiny company. You're still a tiny company. How many of you are in the Dynamic Mockups right now, like employed and co-founders?
Eight of us at the moment.
Eight.
Eight of
So
us.
we're talking about 8 people
Yeah.
with a pipeline of potentially building 10 million annual recurring revenue. So that's more than 1 million per employee. That's a huge
Yeah.
amount of money. And you could probably live on 8 people and build up 10 times the pipeline, right? Understanding the business model, understanding the market, understanding your technology and market position right now, and the pain that you're solving. I have no doubt that you can have at least a 10 million annual recurring revenue per employee very soon in the next couple of years. So when you talk to the VC, pre-money, right, pre-revenue, what was your experience and what is your experience right now? You told me at one point, like I had to give up pitching to investors and focus on my product because you said, I believe that having a great product is the primarily thing because that's going to make a traction, that's going to make a difference, and that's the more important at this point.
Back in the day, so maybe a year ago, I tried
I
fundraising.
like how you say back in the day.
Back
And
in
in
the
my
day.
head, it's like 5, 10 years ago. It's actually last year.
So yeah, a year ago, I started fundraising. I wanted to ride a wave from that big customer, and I just felt it was just taking a lot of my time and a lot of my focus. You get that feeling that you're not really there, and you maybe really don't know what to do with the money that you're asking, and you really don't even know how much do you need and what you're gonna achieve with that. And I mean, I understood that concept, but I really didn't see the answer to it. So there was a struggle. There definitely was a struggle. There was a, besides that, there was a struggle of communicating the vision. I couldn't communicate it clearly like I did now. And there was a lot of misunderstanding of what we do. So I couldn't really articulate clearly what we were doing. I mean, in my pitch, I never mentioned print on demand or even the word mockup again, because it just opens a Pandora's box. Oh, so you do printing, you do manufacturing. No, 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 wait. So trying to clearly articulate in simple terms in a very simple and clear language to what we do is really hard. I mean, it's hard in when you're pitching in general, but I feel like people don't know this industry so much, and even though it's all around us. So yeah, that was a big struggle, and I was like, okay, after like 2 months maybe of actively fundraising, I could see how the progress of our product was slowing down, and it started taking a toll. So I said, okay, we're gonna put this aside and we're gonna focus on the product and really focus on our metrics. So we need to do our homework. Maybe we don't like what we hear from investors in those early stages and the pushback that we're getting, but they're not crazy. I mean, they know what they're asking and what they're looking for. So we took all of those concerns and we said, okay, let's find the answers to all of this. So when we get back to fundraising again, we're gonna come back with answers, and we're gonna come back with learnings, and we're gonna come back with good metrics. And if we do that, we're gonna raise the money.
Are
So
you at that stage right now?
yes, and we are starting to fundraise right now. So actually, nobody has heard the new learnings, the new model, the new signals of the product market fit. So hopefully they're gonna react really good. We have some good metrics to throw around now.
Do you really want VC money at this stage, where you hit product market fit and you think you hit product channel fit, you build up a pipeline of potentially, closing 10 million ARR? Do you really want that money?
I want support. I mean, I want support in if we want to become a category leader, we need to move really, really fast. So we need to position ourselves for the big wave, and I think we're in a really good position right now. But the world is not sleeping. So the 996 is real, both in US, both in China. We need to move fast, and we need to move. If we want to move fast, we need to go together, and we need to find the right investor that's going to help us, maybe connect us with a tier one investor that has an influence and connections with the Shopify's of the world. If we want to play that game, we need. If you want to play basketball, you have to go to US to play NBA. So that's the,
You want to play NBA?
of course.
All Serbs want to play NBA.
Of course, I mean, on that presentation, there was a slide with
Pitch
Nicole,
deck.
not pitch deck, the presentation on the conference. I
All
wanted,
right.
yeah, I wanted to show our fellows from US what ENUT really means, as a concept. And no, both Novak Djokovic, Nikola Jokic, and Luka Doncic were on that slide.
You want to become a category leader of the world. Therefore, you're very realistic that you need money. And your story is a bit different. So you won't stay bootstrapped and bold very long, but you've been bootstrapped and very, very, very bold, Luca, and your team for the past few years. And you were so unselfish in sharing your mistakes, your accidents, your learnings, and your findings. And I'm very grateful for those today. Thank you so much, Luca, for this conversation. It was just brilliant.
And thank you, Maya, so much for inviting me and creating this forum where all of us could share those nuggets of learning. And yeah, hopefully it will resonate with somebody.
That's the idea. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.